Hello guys, welcome back to another video. As always, I am so excited to have you guys here and welcome to another What I Eat in a Week. We haven't done one of these in a while, but you guys know the drill. I really focus on high fiber, high protein, nutrient dense meals. And I actually filmed this What I Eat in a Week directly after my Sunday meal prep video. So if you guys want to go back, watch the Sunday meal prep, watch how I prepped everything, and then you can see how I use it throughout the week. Honestly, this meal prep made my week so much easier. My meals came together really quick. It really cut down on prep time. Plus it cut down on decision fatigue, and this is something that I don't think we talk about enough in the health space. I've even gotten some questions on Instagram about cutting down decision fatigue when it comes to your health, and I think I want to make a separate video on that. But I will say meal prepping and just having food ready, knowing what you're going to eat, it's one less decision that you have to make throughout the day. You guys saw I just had some baked oats for breakfast with some almond butter, and then for lunch I decided to use the roasted vegetables and roasted chicken that I made over the weekend to make a wrap. You guys know I love the Ezekiel whole grain tortillas. They're super high fiber. They actually have a decent amount of protein, and they have a really wide variety of whole grains. And you guys know I talk a lot about getting 30 grams of fiber per day from 30 different plants per week. That includes things like whole grains, beans, and legumes. And I really find the whole grain tortillas help out with that. And then I also had this very sad quarter of an avocado in my fridge, so I decided to add that as well. I just warmed up my chicken on the pan. And just so you guys have a frame of reference, I will put the total for fiber at the end of every day and my plants that I got for the whole week at the end of the video, just so you guys can see. You guys know though, I don't track, so the fiber is going to be a rough estimate. I also had this very delicious roasted garlic yogurt sauce that I made in my meal prep video, so I had some of that on the side. For dinner, this has been one of my go-to meals this winter because it is super high in protein and fiber. If you guys watch my Sunday meal prep, you know I marinated some tempeh, so I just put that in the oven to cook, and then I warmed up some of this khichdi that I made. This has mung beans, rice, a bunch of spices like ginger, turmeric, coriander. It also has some carrots, parsnip. Also, while I was warming up my dinner, I just snacked on some of this beet sauerkraut. I try and get some fermented foods in every day, so I just plated that up, and then I was down to the very end of my tahini jar, but I just added some tahini on top. This is a great dinner if you're trying to get in more fiber. Between the khichdi and the tempeh, you actually have over 15 grams of fiber. And then of course I just had some dates and peanut butter for dessert. And on Tuesday, I actually had to go into the clinic for the full day, so I had to bring both my breakfast and my lunch. For breakfast, I just brought more of the oats that I had prepped, and then for lunch, I bought more of the khichdi with some tempeh. And this is a really good example of how batch prepping dishes with lots of different plants can really help contribute to your plant diversity throughout the week without having to eat a bunch of different meals. The oats that I prepped have 6 different plants plus the almond butter, and we said nuts, seeds, beans, legumes, those all count towards your plant diversity. And then the khichdi has 5 different plants. And for dinner, I just had some more of the leftover roasted veggies, chicken. I also had some sweet potato that I really had to use up, and some yogurt sauce, and that was just a very simple dinner. guys have seen me make this meal so many times, but for breakfast, I just made an egg quesadilla. I had some leftover broccoli in the fridge, so I added that as my vegetable of choice. You guys know I love this meal because between the veggies, the tortilla, and the avocado, you have over 10 grams of fiber. And then between the tortilla, the cottage cheese, and the eggs, you have over 25 grams of protein. Also, it's just really quick and easy, especially if you have prepped veggies. You can really throw in whatever veggies you like, and it comes together super quick. And then since I ran out of tahini, I went to the store to buy more, but they were all out of the brand that I really like. So I had to buy this brand, which was twice as expensive as the other brand that I liked. And in my opinion, wasn't as good as the other brand. I will say a lot of people tell me they don't like tahini, and I totally get it. It is very bitter, but I will also say make sure you get a really high quality one. Tahini actually should be really thin and runny, not like other nut butters that are going to be thicker. If you don't like tahini, just make sure you're getting a really good one. For dinner, I had more of the chicken, squash, and Brussels sprouts. At this point, I had run out of my yogurt sauce, so I just topped it off with some tahini. Like I said, I really don't mind eating repetitive, boring meals because it just cuts down decision fatigue. It makes my meals so much simpler during the week. You guys know I have a coffee every day, but I've really been trying to limit my caffeine consumption to just 1 cup per day. But I always need something warm to sip on in the winter. So lately I've been really liking making more herbal teas. I also love these just for the medicinal benefit. This is a really great liver digestion one that I've been making lately. It's got licorice, burdock, dandelion root, and marshmallow. Licorice and marshmallow are both great for soothing the gut lining. Dandelion is a bitter herb and it can really help with stimulating liver function. And then burdock is actually really great for stimulating bile secretion. And I always just make sure to steep my tea for about 10 to 15 minutes covered. That just helps to extract all the volatile oils. And then on Thursday, I was actually working from home, so I roasted up a purple sweet potato. This is one of my favorite types of sweet potatoes. And I warmed up sardines. I know not a lot of people like sardines, but I actually really like the taste of them. And they're actually super nutrient dense. They're high on omega-3 fatty acids. They're high in calcium and vitamin D. So a great food for menopause. And I also mixed some of the beet sauerkraut with some tahini. I know this is not a very classic combination, but I actually really find the fattiness in the tahini cuts through the acidity in the sauerkraut really nicely. Of course, I also topped my sweet potato off with some tahini, and I always add extra tahini as I eat it. This was my lunch. It was a super micronutrient dense lunch. had a bunch of kale because it was on sale at the grocery store because kale is in season right now. But I find that if I don't prepare it right, I don't really enjoy kale. And a few weeks ago, I was at my friend's house and we were making lasagna and she made a kale Caesar salad that was really good. So I wanted to play around and try and make a homemade Caesar dressing. I've seen people make it with a tahini base that looked really good. I'm still playing around with the recipe. I wasn't perfectly happy with how it turned out. But in terms of the kale, I just washed it really well, patted it dry with a clean dish towel. And then I think the key to a good kale salad is just making sure that you chop everything really finely and massage it really well with the dressing. This really helps to break down the cell wall and just make the kale a lot more tender. And kale definitely is something I'm trying to include more of. It is a cruciferous vegetable, so it's really great for helping to support that natural liver detoxification. It's also super nutrient dense. It's high in calcium, potassium, vitamin C, and tons of antioxidants and polyphenols. And at this point of the week, my boyfriend was over for the weekend, so we decided to do pasta for dinner. This is one of our favorite go-to dinners because it's really simple. I just started by chopping an onion, and whenever we make a beef pasta sauce, I always like to add in tons of mushrooms. It just helps to increase the fiber, get in some extra veggies. You guys know I love shiitake mushrooms, so I added some of those, and then also some white mushrooms just to get a little bit more variety. And I just let the veggies cook down until they're soft and completely cooked through, and then I added a bunch of grass-fed ground beef that we got at the butcher store. And then sometimes I'll add other herbs like garlic, oregano, thyme, things like that. But this time I actually just ended up using a pre-made organic marinara sauce. This is just what makes the meal come together really quick. I just added that and then I just let it simmer for about 20 minutes. My boyfriend was out walking the dog. Once he gave me the 5-minute warning, I put on the pasta. Now you can really use whatever pasta you want. If you want a higher fiber option, I would do like a whole grain or a chickpea pasta. But I was walking by Italy, so I picked up some fresh pasta. I do really find that fresh pasta makes a difference in terms of taste and texture. And that was our dinner. We just had it with the kale Caesar salad. I had some extra Parmesan on both my pasta and my salad, and it was super delicious. On this day, I was a little bit low on my fiber goal. I only got 25 grams, which is still okay, but not the ideal 30 grams that we are focusing on. Some adjustments I could have made was I could have switched the pasta out for a whole grain pasta or a chickpea pasta. I could have added an avocado to the kale salad or an avocado to my lunch to really bump up the fiber, but not every day is perfect. And I think it's really important to remember that our diets are not meant to be absolutely perfect. What we're really looking for is consistency. So I go into the clinic on Friday mornings. I always like to treat myself to a coffee out on Fridays, and I've been really good about actually bringing my mug every time. And then I get home in the early afternoon, so I always want something quick and easy, and Friday is usually just a clean out the fridge meal. So I just fried up a few eggs. I had half a can of sardines because I used 1.5 cans in the meal on Thursday. So I had that. I had some rye sourdough bread in the freezer, so I toasted a piece of that. I also had half an avocado, so I put that on. I added some sauerkraut, and this was my lunch. Lots of fiber, lots of protein. Ideally, maybe I would have liked to have a little bit more veggies, but we were working with what we had in the fridge. And then moving on to dinner, we are making a meal that me and my boyfriend have at least once a week. It is Japanese sweet potato, broccoli, and salmon. So I always make my sweet potato the same way. I just season it with avocado oil, Ceylon cinnamon, and salt. I bake it in the oven for about 30 to 45 minutes, just until everything is cooked through. Then I always have broccoli in my freezer. It is just such an easy veggie to have on hand. The way I prepare my frozen broccoli, I put it in the oven just plain for about 20 minutes, let it dry out, let all the extra moisture evaporate, and then I season it with avocado oil, garlic powder, and salt, and throw it back in for another 10 to 15 minutes just to let it cook through. And then my boyfriend stopped by the fish market on his way home from work and bought this ginormous piece of salmon. I couldn't believe how big it was. I ended up having to cut it into 3 pieces just so it could fit on my pan. And I really think if you have really high quality salmon, all you need is some salt, but you can use whatever seasoning you like. We just like to keep it really simple. And that was our dinner on Friday. Of course, I added some tahini on top of mine. I ended up having 2 bowls because it was so delicious, but I did end up tallying all the different plant foods that I got from Monday to Friday, and the total was 32. I'll put them all up on the screen. And then you guys know, sometimes I include clips of my weekend, but this weekend I just totally forgot to film. I did go out for date night, so I did include some pictures of that. That does bring us to the end of the video. As always, I hope you guys got some value out of it. I hope you got some meal ideas or inspiration. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new, make sure to subscribe because we would love to have you here every week. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys want to see more of, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!